right now, we bring to you Texas Rangers pitcher extraordinaire, Jon Gray. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Now, we got a lot of sports and stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. But before we get to anything else, we got important things. Do you think cargo shorts will make a comeback, or the zip-away pants that turn into cargo shorts will make a comeback, or did they ever leave?
I don't think they ever left with some people, maybe like 1% of the population, but I think that it's going to go from jean shorts to mustaches into cargo pants. And we're gonna bridge that gap from the 80s to the 90s pretty soon.
And if you wear the cargo shorts, do you have to be carrying either it's 8 pounds of change or keys or whatever in those pockets to make it pay off?
Yeah, you get your bike lock in there, everything. You make sure you got it all. Yeah, you got to be like Batman out there with the belt full of everything.
I still wear cargo shorts when I go to Six Flags with my kids because I have to have those pockets to put my wallet and phone in with the button so they don't fall out on the roller coasters.
Yeah.
The ones with the zipper, though, Kevin, I learned from Bear Grylls that you can unzip those and fill them up with water and tie them off at the end, and then you have a water pouch.
How often do you find yourself in that scenario, though, where you're like, you know what, I really need the rest of my pants to get water so I can live?
Not often.
Not often.
Okay, but if it did.
But if you get the opportunity, you better do it.
Okay, now, follow-up retro question. If that's making a comeback, our friend here, Mike Bassick, does not care for the retro comeback of the mom jeans. Do you have strong thoughts about mom jeans?
I don't really have strong thoughts about them. They're not my favorite. I think I'm stuck in the early 2000s kind of low
rise.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Because
we can talk more about that.
People are going to look at these pictures. Women are going to look at these pictures 10 years from now and go, I cannot believe I wore those shorts. Because people from the 80s and 90s that are women look at those pictures and go, I can't believe I wore those jeans.
Yeah. I thought for a while too about the same thing. I was like, is everyone trying to show up their parents? Is that what it's all about? It's like, I look better than you in your stuff. Is that what it's all about?
Now, I guess if we must, on a more serious sports point, I was reading something the other day where I believe the word was antsy about getting out there and getting going and seeing this rotation. I was hoping you could tell the listeners a little bit more about that for you personally, and then seeing the rotation as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with the moves, it started back a couple months ago when I knew we were kind of heading this direction. We were grabbing some of the guys we were doing, and man, like that really, I went from just hanging out to like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like it got me in the weight room faster. Like I was just so much more motivated.
Who told you the Rangers got DeGrom?
I think I can't remember how I learned it. I think it might have been just social media. I saw it on there, and then it was obviously saw the other moves, but it was just something that kind of like lit a fire underneath me early. So it was a really good motivator.
How much do you watch? I know you have a lot of big league experience. How much do you watch a new guy like DeGrom or Eovaldi and watch them pitch and then maybe pick their brain on what they did in a bullpen session or how they see certain things?
Yeah, because and the thing is, like, I see them as similar pitchers. Like, I feel like we're all, like, three of us are power pitchers, but we do things a lot differently. So I do like to look at some of the things they do differently. And it might spark an idea with me. So, and hopefully I'm doing the same thing to them. So, collectively, I think we're a good group and definitely better with each other, I think.
See, Jared Sandler has been talking about, we've been talking about the overall rotation, and he's like, look, I think Jon Gray can be the second best out of this group on here. And I asked Mike about this. Is there some competitiveness, too, amongst the group of guys of, you know what, he pitched a really good game today. I got to go pitch, just as good of a game for him to follow that up.
For sure. I really do believe that energy carries over. And it all comes from a good place. Yeah, like, that's my buddy, and he did great. I'm glad he did great because I'm going to try to outdo him tomorrow. And, like, that is a really good place to be. When you're in pursuit of something, there's always good things ahead. But if you're always running away from something, it's not going to work out. So.
What would you think about my philosophy for Bochy before each game that went great the game before? It's like, well, we got John pitching today, and DeGrom gave up 1 run and 3 hits, so we know John can't match that. What do you think about passive aggressiveness as the way to motivate pitchers?
It's always worked with me. It's always worked with me. Like, yeah, my brother used to do that to me. Like, he would do stuff like that to me all the time, tell me I was, like, slow. He's like, you look really slow or something like that, so I'd run harder. And, like, It definitely works. It's always worked on me.
I've always thought if my mom would have told me when I was a kid I could never become a doctor, I 100% would have become a doctor. I was like, oh, I'll show you.
And now here you are still
Yeah.
changing lives.
Oh, man. In a very, very different, let's say lower way. But, yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully so.
As a starting pitcher, I know there's not a ton of times where you need a strikeout. Obviously, late in games, runner on third, tie and run, winning run, less than 2 outs. I need to really get no contact here, get a strikeout, get out of the situation. I'd love for you to talk to the audience on, you're a strikeout guy, DeGrom, Evaldi, you mentioned those guys. Mm-hmm. How do you get a strikeout on an 0-0 count? As in, how do we get to 2 strikes to get to that moment?
I think it really, obviously you can't rely on one thing. I think you have to have a good mix going. The guy cannot have an idea on what you're coming with him at. So, I think to get set up for a strikeout, you definitely have to have 2 or 3 pitches working. Like the guy has no idea what's going on, and that's when the plate becomes 2 feet wide. So
kind of like the bases now.
Yes, and then also on the strikeout, I think exactly. Also on the strikeout, I think that I don't think it's necessarily making the nastiest pitches, but when you get the opportunity for a strikeout, you want the early outs, you want early contact, but when you get the opportunity, being really good in those situations. Like I have a 1-2 count, like this is my chance to go for the punch out. So I think not wasting those opportunities by trying to throw a nasty one, just trying to have an idea of what you're doing. And it's and believe in it, and it'll usually work out.
What's the most fun strikeout? Is it he strikes out looking and it was right down the middle, or he strikes out swinging because you threw one in the junk? You threw it not in his junk.
Whoa,
what?
Like in the dirt.
That'd
You
be
just threw it as a
something.
junker that you threw away in the dirt. And if you hit the guy in the junk and you struck him out, that is pretty impressive.
Yeah,
It is, man.
not top 10. That guy's swinging.
Yeah, I haven't done that yet, but I'm working on it. But I really like the fastball.
The fastball?
Yeah, I really like the fastball, and it wasn't always that way. I've always been a slider guy. Like, I love to overuse the slider, but I love locking someone up with a fastball when they're not expecting it.
We've talked a lot about the starting rotation, of course. What do you think about the bullpen? Because there are some sectors, and Taylor Hearn, he was like, they're not paying attention, where the Rangers bullpen is getting disrespected. What are your thoughts about the bullpen going into this season?
I think so, too. I'm agreeing with that, too. I think they're a little underrated. I mean, obviously we have some young arms in there, too. We don't really know who's taking what role yet, but then again, I really love the candidates. Like, I think everyone's got plus stuff. I've seen everyone, work out of really tough jams. I love the arms we have. They're unbelievably nasty. So it'll be interesting to see what the order will be or who's taking over what role. I don't really know yet, but I know that we have a great group of guys to choose from.
Is kind of the goal, and baseball's changed for a lot over time, is kind of the goal 7 and give that bullpen 3? Or what is kind of the mindset? Because we've known Maddox for a while.
Playing extra innings, sir?
I'm sorry, 2. Yeah. 6 and 3. I'm just, math is not it either. But like Maddox always was like, get a quality start was something that we would see out of him while he was here before. And I'm just kind of figuring out, is that kind of been floated y'all's direction? What are you trying to do to preserve the bullpen?
Personally for me, it's not trying to just strike everybody out. Don't go in there trying to strike everybody out. Look for early outs. That's when I've gotten deep into ball games, getting 2-3 pitch at bats. And then when I have my opportunities for a strikeout, that's when I need to go for it. But just not wasting pitches, trying to strike everybody out, I feel like has gotten me deeper into games. It's helped out the bullpen a lot. So hoping to take that even a step further this next year and maybe throw a CG one day.
Oh, man. A CG with only like 27 pitches, Mike.
I'm going to change
been
the
our
topic just a little bit because Corey over there's a big OU guy. You went to OU, 3rd overall pick in the draft. You are an A&M guy, okay? Now,
Manager really put us on blast.
I don't know what kind of place this
we actually
is.
just had some cuts from Coach Schlossfelnagel. I know I always mess up his name. He is at TCU when you're at Oklahoma, now at A&M. And you were telling me in the clubhouse that the Texas OU environment for baseball maybe wasn't as electric as maybe you would think maybe a Texas OU baseball game would be.
Right, yeah. When you compare it to football, it's like nothing. It's like nothing. But there was more energy than usual. There was more energy than us playing Kansas or someone else. But I really wish it was a bigger deal. I think I don't know. I think it'd be cool if they kind of up the stakes a little bit on it. But then again, it was so much fun. Like we all knew, they knew and we knew like what the stakes were and how important it was. So the game was awesome. The game was electric, but the atmosphere really wasn't what I thought it would be.
Is there more chirping in a college dugout than a major league dugout?
Yes. I remember. Yes, I would say there's more chirping in college. Yeah, and it was kind of more like like rally stuff, But then again, like there were other things said too. But there's been times in big league games, there's a little chirping going on, but usually it's friendly stuff. Like in college it was kind of like screw the other team.
Do you hear some of those and you're like, all right, I'll give it to you. That was pretty clever. Like that hurts my feelings, but that was really clever.
For sure, yeah. And I can't remember exactly what's been said, but yeah, there's been some good ones. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure that ends up being I'm talking to myself on the mound or kind of smiling about it on the mound. Mike says that he used to MF himself a lot on the mound, that he would just constantly get talked down to himself. What's your inner monologue when you're on the mound?
I same way.
Okay.
Same way. I get so mad at myself. I'll, call myself every name in the book, but then again, like it also locks me in. Like I'm still in a fight. But, sometimes I wish I wasn't so hard on myself. I wish I could let things go and just focus on the next one.
Positive self-speak.
And doing the post-game show, John, you're one of the best post-game interviews because I really do believe if you pitched great, you're going to say, hey, I did these things well, and you really give the audience a great idea on why it was a good game. And if you didn't have the best game, you talk about the reasons why things didn't go your way in a certain inning, and I really respect that and get an idea on what makes Jon Gray good and what maybe took Jon Gray away from having a good game. And that's just, I know I'm not really asking a question, but it's really fun getting to listen to you after a game because I get an idea on what went well or what didn't go well.
Right, yeah. And that can be the hardest part, too, about a start. It didn't go your way. It's just like being honest with yourself about what happened. Because you can go out there and say everything. You can blame it on an umpire if you want. But I feel like I've gotten the most out of myself by finding what I didn't do right. So.
And that seems like a really positive characteristic. Have you ever, or do you know guys who have ever got caught up by like a teammate's error or something, and you're like thinking back, man, I could have bailed out of the fourth inning, then I would have jammed through the fifth and sixth. Like, have you ever gotten caught up in that? Which I know you'd want to avoid, but feels like it could happen.
Right, yeah, it can get easy that way too. I mean, when you're out there competing too, there's just another level of emotion too. So controlling those. Whether it's very positive or very negative, I think is good to control both. But, I get a sense of that too. Yeah.
I don't know if this is true for you or not, but there would be nights after, let's just say, I had in the fourth inning a pitch didn't go my way. I missed by 3-4 inches, doubling the gap, and it led to a 3-run inning. And I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I had trouble falling asleep, and I'll wake up going, and then I'll start thinking, man, that sequence, should I have got something different? Was that the right pitch? Did I just miss my location? I don't know if that's also sometimes if it doesn't go your way, like if at nighttime you're kind of reevaluating every pitch that led up to that situation.
Yeah, I did. My first couple of years I did a lot, and I finally got better at leaving. When I left the field, I left everything at the field, so that was good. It was better for everyone at my house. So, even the dogs, they know. Yeah. So it was cool. But
go ahead.
I mean, I guess that's all I got on that one.
All right, so a couple things have happened since we've gotten here. Our friend Eric Chiafalo, he does the afternoon show. Yesterday, he goes in. We're doing the club stuff. He walks across the tee for one. All right, he walks across the logo in the clubhouse, and then he just sits down on the couch next to Nathaniel Lowe and just puts his arm around him and pops his foot up, and he just starts chatting up with him. And the clubbies are like staring at him like, what is happening? Who is this guy? He's a rookie. It's a rookie mistake. It's his first time here. Who should have been the person that says, hey, you got to go? Who's in the clubhouse that's like, hey, you can't do this, media guy?
Probably a Dulles, right?
Okay, he's the one.
All he's got to do is just look at him, and the guy's probably going to leave.
He just walks up and flexes.
I mean, really? Yeah.
Well, and then he's not the only one. One of his co-hosts took a phone call in
They're
there,
both
was
rookies,
just chatting it up in there, and they're like, "Hey, dude, you gotta take that outside." Now, our story is a little bit worse, Corey, because you left us out of
ours
this.
Is great. Mine's about Mike, actually.
Mine's about Adrian Beltre.
Oh yeah, that was
so several years ago. You tell me if you would be terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Several years ago, we came up here. Adrian Beltre is still on the team. I'm sure you've heard the stories and whatnot, even if you weren't there.
He's a strong man.
There was a good parking spot left in the lot, and Corey was like, hey, that looks like our parking spot. There was a nice car behind us. It was Adrian Beltre, and that was his parking spot just because you needed to know that. And
It was the last spot
we
I
did
go
not
to.
know that, and he had to park somewhere less convenient. He came into the clubhouse. He was very angry. We did not realize that we had angered him. We're talking with Mitch Moreland and somebody else, and he goes, hey, don't talk to those guys. They took my parking spot. And we were supposed to do a bit with Prince Fielder where he legitimately hit me in the junk with a wiffle ball bat because I said the Rangers wouldn't make the playoffs the year before. That's a real thing that actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
So Adrian Beltre's response was, have you got hit in the junk yet? And I go, oh, no, we haven't been able to figure it out. And he goes, we can figure it out right now, and went and grabbed a real bat. And at that point, I thought for sure I would never have any more kids. So I don't want to make it sound like we never violated any rules or anything like that.
there's a lot
That's
of
just a
rookie
story
mistakes.
I felt you needed to know. No question. Just a story I thought you might enjoy.
I like it. It was a good story.
Did you ever violate one with Colorado as a young guy?
Yeah, for sure. Like I didn't really know much at all about how you're supposed to act as a rookie and everything, but I didn't act. I don't think I acted like crazy or anything like that. I was really quiet. I was afraid to talk, but I remember getting myself in trouble because I didn't know I didn't know you had to get up and talk in front of everyone. I didn't know that was a thing, and they would ask you questions and everything like that. So I like kind of snapped back at one of the first guys that asked me a question, and he was kind of like joking at me, and I was in deep trouble from there on out.
Oh, man.
I didn't, I didn't have any. I was kind of like laughing as I said, like I told him something like "screw you" or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was not a good camp for me. It was hard. I had to get like coffee every morning and like everyone's food by like 6 a.m. It was tough.
Now,
It was tough.
today, Mike's dream is to be a groundskeeper.
I think it's awesome.
And this is I'm not lying about this. Whenever the first time I went to his house, he was edging his front yard, and he looked like the happiest kid ever. No shirt. But
What
today,
an odd detail that.
yeah, today Jake was the guy doing all the work down there today, and he went down and he said, "Jake, can I drag the field today?" And Jake allowed him to do one circle over there at third base today.
If there's a bad hop, it's
Oh,
my fault.
no.
Will you just walk around blaming Mike for if there's a bad hop at third today?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
I know what happened.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that'll be obvious. We'll know what happened.
Do you have any dreams of being a grounds crew guy? You have to do that in college.
That looks like a no.
I love to mow. I love mowing.
Yeah.
I did it in high school for my job, so I loved mowing. But I don't know, man. Maybe not now.
Okay.
I was going to say,
It's like, I'm gonna
I could see
pitch.
in the
I'm
middle
gonna
of
throw
your
the baseball.
major league career how you might not be like, if I could pivot to groundskeeping instead this season, that'd be great.
Yeah, I might do it like Forrest Gump and just do it for free. I don't know if I really enjoyed it one day.
I'm just going to take care of the mound. I mean, the mound's the toughest one to like make sure it's perfectly manicured and laid out that way. Those guys.
Oh, he knows. He's
Yeah.
probably got a list of people who's
Yeah.
like, no, don't let that
They
guy
always
do
screw it
it.
up.
Well, we appreciate your time very, very much, and obviously the folks back in the Metroplex are legitimately hyped for the season, a way they haven't been for, it feels like, several years. So appreciate your time, and obviously best of luck going forward.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.